Let's get more on the Tory leadership race from a supporter of Liz Truss. I'm pleased to say we're joined by the former Northern Ireland Secretary, Brandon Lewis. Brandon Lewis, good morning to you. Thank you very much for coming in.
Good morning.
So let's just pick up, first of all, on those polls that we saw overnight. A huge boost for Liz Truss in the campaign, but David Davis thinks that we can't trust those polls because they're all a bit different.
Well, Dave's right in the sense of any poll is a snapshot in time. And this is quite a big poll of party members, and it builds on the work they did a couple of weeks ago that gave Liz a good lead as well. But the reality is there's only one poll that counts, and that's the one where the members actually vote. We'll get the results of that in September. So it's important for all of us. We've got to keep working, keep talking to members, and Liz is getting around the country talking to members as well as the hustings and the events we've got going on to secure those votes for Liz to become the next leader of the Conservative Unionist Party and, as a result, the next Prime Minister.
How damaging was that row back on the regional pay boards, do you think?
Look, I don't think it was. Look, what Liz did yesterday, which was very clear, we're not taking that part of the policy forward. It's part of a bigger package, obviously. She was talking about dealing with Whitehall waste, which I think people do want to see us deal with. We've seen with the Rishi's campaign as well, he's had like 9 different things now where he's flip-flopped around. I'm pleased to see he's now supporting the Northern Ireland Protocol Bill, and I'm pleased to see he believes in a lower tax economy, although I don't think we should be waiting 7 years for that. And Liz wants to get on with it as quickly as possible and put more money in people's pockets in the first 7 weeks.
Let's have a look at what was said about this idea, because it was described as willful misrepresentation. This is what was said a couple of days ago. Truss would introduce regional pay boards, tailoring pay to the cost of living where civil servants actually work. This could save £8.8 billion per year. Potential savings if the system were to be adopted for all public sector workers in the long term. So how did we misrepresent that when we put that, as Jacob Rees-Mogg was sitting there yesterday and he defended it, and then an hour or so later it was entirely scrapped?
Well, what was the misrepresentation? Was we saw some people in other parts on the other side of the campaign arguing that this was about reducing pay for the civil servants and the public sector workers who've done such brilliant work over the last few years.
And it's not about reducing...
No, it's never been about that. Look, what that's outlining is if you were to extrapolate this out across, then yes, you could see those kind of savings. But this was actually always about, look, how you look at what you do in new contracts and new people coming into the civil service. But as I say, importantly, Liz has been very clear, and she was yesterday pretty quickly after that, she's not taking this part of that policy forward at all.
Halfway to defending it then and saying it was a good idea, the idea that someone who's a nurse working in the south of England could get paid more than a nurse working up in the north. You were very close to saying that was a good idea.
What the whole package was about yesterday was dealing with Whitehall waste and actually making sure we're spending... This is every penny that government spends is taxpayers' money. We need to make sure we spend that efficiently and effectively. What was outlined there was what you could save if you were doing this across the board. But that was never the case. And Liz was actually really clear about this yesterday herself. This was about actually looking at what you could do with new people coming into civil service. But she's been clear, we're not going to do that. She's not taking that part of it forward. What she wants to focus on, though, is dealing with Whitehall waste as part of getting economic growth, which means we can actually reduce taxes, put more money in people's pockets and deliver for people across the country. And, of course, importantly, people talked about this linked to levelling up. The best way we get levelling up is investing across the country, particularly in education, an area Liz has got experience of and has got a very strong set of policies to deliver on for people in the future.
Does it speak to questions around Liz Truss's judgment that she'd even put this policy forward? And it's not like it's a brand new idea. My understanding is that it's one of Liz Truss's ideas from about 4 years ago. And at a time when people are going through many people feel like they're going through a real terms pay cut, we have a cost of living crisis, the idea that you can be paid differently in different parts of the country for doing the same job will not be a very good vote winner, would it?
Well, as I say, Liz has been clear that that's not something she's going to be doing. Look, what we have seen...
But she still put it forward, didn't she, Brandon? She still put it forward.
Yeah, and as I say, she's also been one of the things you've seen with Liz Truss, both in her jobs in government, but actually over the last few weeks as well through this leadership campaign, is somebody who's looking at how do we improve our country, how do we grow our economy, create more jobs, create more opportunity for people, improve education, level up across the country. And she's somebody who, even when things are difficult, will get on and get things done. She's done that as a Foreign Secretary. I've stood side by side with her defending the people of Northern Ireland against the pressure from the EU. She was resolute on that, and we've seen the Northern Ireland Protocol Bill go through. One of the things I think is slightly odd that I see from our competitor camp, if you like, is they keep flip-flopping around on like 9 different things at the moment, and particularly on the protocol, where I've seen them sort of argue against it and now have come and supported it.
9 different things, really?
Yeah, I mean, on tax, on the economy, on the Northern Ireland Protocol Bill, on China, on a whole range of things. There are areas where they've said one thing, then done another. What has been clear with Liz is consistently she's somebody, when she outlines something that she wants to do, even when it's difficult, and again, the Northern Ireland Protocol Bill is controversial, it's been challenging with the EU, but she has been determined to do the right thing. So even when it's difficult, she will go out and have that conversation and drive something forward to deliver the right thing for the people of the UK.
But all of you guys flip-flopping around, throwing things at the wall and seeing which will stick. I mean, over the weekend there was all this talk about education reform and making sure that every single student who got A stars would get an interview at Oxbridge. It seems to have quietly been knocked down now that unions and universities don't seem happy about it. So all of you are trying to throw policies at the wall to see which ones will stick, aren't you? And some of them stick and some of them don't. And this one obviously didn't.
Well, there's a couple of things to say to that. First of all, obviously, during the leadership campaign, obviously, both the candidates are out there talking about the kind of things they would want to do as Prime Minister. Liz has also been very open about the fact we've got a manifesto from 2019 to deliver. So when she's talking about the economic and the tax benefits she wants to bring to people and to companies, that's in the context of delivering the manifesto, but in the context of where we are today with the economic challenges we have. Look, I think the education package that we outlined at the weekend, including the university one, is a really good one in that it delivers on aspiration and says to people, if you're good enough, you'll have the opportunities that you want to have. You won't be restricted by where you're from or your background. And actually, I've seen the benefit of this in my own constituency, where the improvement that we've seen in our schools through academies and through free schools has been utterly phenomenal and transformational for students now able to take advantage of the jobs that are coming through. And that's what Liz wants to deliver on, and that's what that package of the weekend absolutely outlines.
How useful to keeping the union together is describing Nicola Sturgeon as an attention seeker who should be ignored.
Well, I think actually keeping the union together is, again, an area where Liz Truss has got huge credentials. And just on that particular issue, I think I absolutely back her up on this. We had a referendum.
Should be ignored.
In terms of looking at the referendum and the independence or part of the union for Scotland, we had a referendum. Now, we're all a few years older, but it's not been a generational change just yet. And that was always clear, and the SNP were, that was a once in a generation. That decision has been made. What we should all be focused on, including the SNP, is how we improve the lives of people in Scotland. They're failing them on education, I would argue, the health service and other areas of the economy as well. What Liz wants to do is make sure everybody across the UK and every part of the UK gets better education opportunities to take part in a better and stronger economy in the future.
Let me get a thought from you on the Rwanda policy. I think you'll have seen the reporting this morning that the court has said that it cannot be. There can be no flights going until at least November. Priti Patel, Home Secretary, at the moment says that she's disappointed by that. Will Liz Truss continue with that policy? Because we had 700 people crossing the Channel yesterday.
Look, yes, I haven't seen the details this morning yet, actually, but look, she will be continuing with that policy. Somebody who's been in the immigration ministry and spent a few years of my life in the Home Office in various jobs dealing with border security, I think it is right that we are doing everything we can to break the business model of those people who are perpetrating modern slavery, people trafficking. We've seen reports even in the media as well about already how it's having an impact for some, although we saw these record numbers this week, which I think reinforce and remind us there's still work to do, and we've got to make sure that we're delivering on that kind of policy to break this business model of the people traffickers that are putting people's lives at risk. It also means, of course, the other side of this is that when people do come to this country and do it through a legal route, we're able to give them the support that they need to integrate and be an important part in our economy, in our civilised, in our civil society in a way that they want to be. So illegal immigration doesn't work because it perpetrates more crime, it puts lives at risk, and means that if people do get here, they then don't get the support that they need.
The argument's always been there aren't enough legal routes. Will Liz Truss expand legal routes for people when they come to the country?
Actually, I think, and somebody, as I say, who's been the immigration minister, we have got very clear legal routes for both asylum seekers, for refugees, for people who want to migrate to the UK. We've got to focus on making sure that they are there for people who deliver on them. But the best way you do that is to be clear that you have to take a legal route. We are not able, and we shouldn't be accepting illegal routes into the country, and we've got to continue to crack down on that in every way that we can.
OK, Brendan, let's have to leave it there. Thank you very much for being with us this morning. Good morning to you. Thank you.